Welcome to our viewers from across the world. And today we're going to be having a very interesting conversation. We're going to be talking about high reward habits, and you don't want to miss out on this. So, just before we get started again, I want to encourage you to call a friend and tell a friend that the competitive edge is on. And today we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting subject. Now, with me in studio, as you can see, we have uh, Peter Scott, and Peter Scott is the brain behind Legacy Chronicle Human Growth Program, and he focuses a lot on human resource development. And we have Clement Frank. Clement Frank, he serves as a lecturer, and he has a wealth of experience in economics and in leadership. So I must say it's a tremendous pleasure to have these guys among us today. In the event that you're wondering who I am, my usual talk, I wear many hats. I'm trained in business, I'm trained in financial literacy, global financial markets, and so much more. But I'm going to pause there for now. I want to welcome Peter Frank to the program. How are you guys today?
Oh,
Doing great.
fantastic. Great.
Doing great.
Awesome. Well, today we're going to be embarking on a pretty interesting conversation, and I'm excited to hear your different point of views of what constitutes high reward habits. And I trust that the audience also find it as interesting as I am preparing to find the nuggets. Now, just before we get into today's program, and I give you guys a chance to introduce yourself, I will be speaking of high reward habits from the standpoint of understanding things that millionaires do. Why? Because I do believe that taking the time to understand the things that millionaires do and find a way to build habits around that, I believe it can go a very far way in helping you, the average person, the aspiring millionaires, to learn some of these techniques. And just let me say a couple of things very quickly. Millionaires, billions of people across the world should take the time to understand what millionaires do and how to position themselves to become millionaires. And there are many reasons why I want to say this, because millions of people will be more happy when you learn these habits. Millions of marriages will be saved because we are seeing that their breakdown in relationship, breakdown in marriage, simply because, once a spouse is not able to take care of the dreams and hopes and aspiration of the other person. We also believe that when you learn these habits, uh, the world will become a better place because everybody will have abundance. There will be less lack. And these are reasons why focusing on these habits we believe can help. Of course, my colleague will look at habits and high reward from different perspective, but I do believe that it's all valuable contribution that they will make. Now, having said that, I want to start with Peter. Peter, can you give us a short introduction about yourself, at least a minute or two, a minute at least, and then I'll come to Frank.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here as usual, Gary. And I just want to welcome the audience or listening audience, whatever time you're able to join with us. Those who are with us live, those who will be with us later on, and months, even months ahead after this program. But my name is Peter Richard Goscott Senior. I'm Peter Richard Goscott Senior, and we are from the world of what we call the Legacy Chronicles Human Growth Program, and we realized that, as Gary is mentioning about what consists of even the materials that we want to build around us through having developing a world around us that is of abundance. Well, the human The Legacy Chronicles take those things into consideration and empower individuals to tap within their skill sets to design programs, books, courses that can highlight their expertise and present it to the community. But in order to do that, then most times you realize that individuals need a plan, a design, a master plan, we call it, that we empower individuals to design for themselves, for their families, at the community level, and then create a corporate structure that will give those practices leverage in their world. And we're looking forward to have a great conversation this morning.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. Frank?
And once again, good morning to all listeners. I am Claremont Frank, economist, lecturer, teacher. But my main focus here is on leadership. And not just leadership, but leadership that brings empathy, shows concern, and help you to become the best leader in your organization. As we go through this program, we get to learn more about the kind and types of leadership that may be suitable for you. Thanks for listening.
All right, thanks for that share, Frank. Now, what I'm going to attempt to do is to expand on some of what I would have said early on. I do believe that there's tremendous merits in building healthy habits around what successful millionaires would have done. And I'm saying this against the backdrop of all the positive things I've said early on. It is my genuine belief that billions of people should invest the time, the talent, and the resources to learn millionaires and billionaires' habits. And there are many, many reasons why I'm saying this. We believe that billions of people will be much more happier. Why? Because you're not flowing in lack. You're not flowing in limitation. You have abundance. And regardless of how we look at it in the world, money is a common denominator. You need monies to pay for your children's education. You need monies to put the food on the table. You need monies to pay the bill. So the more you learn, apply, and master these habits, it puts you in a much, much better position of strength of controlling your reality. I believe also from the research that we are doing that learning the millionaire habits will save millions of marriages. The research is showing that, the decline in marriage starts when there's lack of funding, lack of capital, and learning the right habits can save marriage, which by extension, when there's a divorce, it affects children. And we need to ensure that we can protect our children by all means necessary. And again, the last part, I believe that learning these habits, it can play a pivotal role in helping the world to be a better place. So I'm going to pause here for now. And as I go deeper into today's program, I will be sharing nuggets that you need to know in terms of learning, applying, and mastering the millionaire habits. I want to now come to Peter. Peter, you are an expert in your field, Human Growth Initiative. What habits that is there in master planning that can really be a high reward for the beneficiaries? Peter.
Yeah, what I want to do to clarify to the individuals who are on this or with us today, we're talking about high reward habits And the world, what we try to get individuals to see, especially where human growth is concerned and why they need a master plan. First of all, we get to individuals to look at themselves, that human beings are a very dynamic being, in the sense that we look at ourselves and we see one body, one body of flesh, put it that way. But then we are not just the component that we see when we look inside the mirror. There's actually 9 distinct components that we're looking at. And if we do not understand what these 9 components are, then more or less than not, what happened is that we do not really treat the individual that we call the individual with the respect or to give ourselves. And in essence, the habits that we are going to form to really treat ourselves with the kind of respect that we need to do, a lot of it is going to just blow away. So we first of all get individuals to understand who is the you that you are talking about, or the me. When I say me, what am I talking about? And how am I going to develop habits that are going to nurture the me that we say we are? And so we break it down. We first of all get people to understand that you are I see your body, but inside of your body, there's a human spirit and there is a soul. And then we tap down into what soul is, or what to differentiate to define what the soul is. And when we define what the soul is, you're going to get 6 components. So we have the human, the body, the soul, and the spirit. And then we have to get down into what the soul is. And then we're gonna move to the habits, Gary, but just not to take up too much time. We're just gonna break down what the soul is, and then later on we will talk about what are those habits that we can use to really nurture each, because each component of the soul, now you're talking about the memory, you're talking about the emotions, we're talking about thoughts, we're talking about will, we're talking about intellect and imagination. And these components, how do you treat these components, these 9 components overall? The habits is kind of various, and I'll get into that when we come back around.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. What I've taken away so far is that an essential high reward habit that you want to focus on is the habits of self-knowledge. So it's investing in you to find you, and that can be a major high reward habits. Thanks for that share, Peter. Frank?
Thank you. It was about a couple of months ago, I read High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. He is the world's highest paid performance coach. And in this book, he talks about the 6 most effective habits for reaching long-term success. His research on high performance has yielded 6 important things that we can all of them that will bring us closer to enjoying genuine success long term. And these habits are: 1, seek clarity; 2, generate energy; 3, raise necessity; 4, increase productivity; 5th one is develop influence; and 6 is demonstrate courage. Now, for the first and the second one, it's basically looking at purpose and awareness that fuel high performance. Burchard argues that high performers are not afraid to ask themselves what they want from life, and then they go and get it. This process of ideation is a habit the author referred to as seeking clarity, and it helps high performers keep positive outcomes in the center of their minds. The third habit is about high performers that draw motivation from the inside and the outside. And the lesson here is that the quality of your motivation can have a huge effect on your performance. Now, it's no coincidence that marathon runners participate to raise money for a charity close to their heart, which certainly helps them keep going, even when their legs are screaming at them to stop. That's inside motivation. But by getting friends and family to sponsor the marathon, these people are also getting the motivation franked by the eyes of others. And they will want to keep going so they don't let their loved ones down. And it's also why people look at high performance as role models so often. When you set a goal, tell people about it to create a contract to meet the expectations of others as well as yourself. With inner and outer motivation, you always dig deeper to reach your objectives through what we call effective habits. Then the high performers, number 4 habit, manage time and shut out distractions. Manage time, shut out distraction. We live in a world where a lot of us don't manage our time, and we are distracted by so much information, whether online, whether we're in the office, whether we're going on the road. And there's nothing worse than constantly being busy with nothing to show for it. And so this is what brings us to Bouchard's 4th important habit, which is increasing productivity, which is the ability to separate important work from the less significant, what I would call drudgery. Now, if you'd like to cultivate this habit, you use the proven productivity, and this will be explained later, productivity systems of the Eisenhower matrix, which help your workflow become more efficient. And you can use this to make sure that you're always doing short-term work that helps contribute to your long-term success. High performers are sensitive to the needs of others. And there's a pervasive image of entrepreneurs and successful people as lone wolves who single-handedly carve out their victories. Now, if you ask any of these high performers, they will point you to a laundry list of extraordinary people who helped them reach the top. It's giving a mindset with new people or a peer group. And the same high performers have the ability to create what we call meaningful connections with other people that they can leverage for mutually beneficial results. They also know how to support and to lead others to help their friends and colleagues get the best out of themselves. You see, this is a mindset that is built on generosity, whether it be with time, resources, or even some encouraging words of kindness, words of empathy. They are acutely aware what other people need to succeed. And so they are prepared, to push when they need encouragement or back off, to give them the freedom to prevail. Conversely, they are also adept at asking others for help and aren't discouraged when they face rejection. And the fourth thing I will close out, high performance and atrophied tables. You see, as a high performer, they don't enjoy being in their comfort zone. They like to think out of the box, take risks that others won't. And that's why when they often find themselves and receive the biggest rewards because of this risk. Borchardt refers to this habit as demonstrating courage and ties in closely with a high performance resilience in the face of challenges. And he stresses that these qualities aren't inherent. These qualities have to be developed over time as they learn from their mistakes. They develop a thick skin. You see, it's not that high performance aren't aware of the risks they take. It's more that they become experienced, that's mastering their own fears, and many have come to relish a thrill of going against the odds. I always tell students, dead fish will swim with the tide. Wherever the tide goes, but the living fish swims against the tide. And in this life, you will notice who are dead fishes and who are the living ones.
All right, thanks for that share, Frank. You have dropped so many nuggets there. Um, I want to push back on a concept, though, not of your fault. And very often we say manage time. And what I would say, it's hard to manage what we can't control. You have a car, you can manage the car because you're controlling it. You have a machinery, you can control the machinery. But I've learned that time is one thing that we cannot manage. However, we can optimize the use of time. What I love about what you said is that in optimizing the use of time, some of the great minds have learned how to shut distraction out. And Frank, that point is so important. It's important for the fact that there's so many distractions that we have to face with in our lives, and if we do not know how to push back on the noise that is coming to distract you from the path that you're on, it can seriously undermine your success. I love also you would have mentioned that high performers, they are risk takers, and it's not that they are not fearful of what they're doing, but because they have done it so many times, they're better able to take calculative risk. So that was a lot of gems that you would have dropped. And the one that had me laughing is when you said, dead fish just go with the tide. And living fish can swim against the tide. I love that. We got to go into that some more. So I'm trusted that you take it away the nuggets that Frank is dropping here today. And these are all high reward habits that you want to adopt in your life. You don't want to be a dead fish. You want to be a living fish that is controlling your destiny. Myself and Peter, we were just talking about that before we started the program. To advance our conversation, I want to go a little deeper into habits around money. Because again, I want you to be able to take away what wealthy people do. And I think it is necessary to develop the right habits behind working. Wealthy people, they work too, but they work for the right reasons. The average person work because they have to survive. And the moment you find yourself saying that I'm working because I have to survive, perhaps it's not the right reasons.
Mhm.
Wealthy people work to build wealth. All right. Wealthy people do what they love. And in doing what they love, they are building with a mindset of building wealth. And it's important for you to learn these habits. You're not working to survive, but the mindset that you should have is that I'm working to build wealth. Now, just before I go into that, I want to say a couple of things. Wealthy people work to earn, they earn to save, and they save to invest. All right? Let me repeat that. Wealthy people work to earn to save, and save to invest. And these are habits that you really need to learn, apply, and master. All right? They're hard workers. Some people say that because you're a millionaire or billionaire, you're lazy. I know that, millionaire and billionaires, they're some of the hardest working people there is. You know, very hard working people, but they work for the right reasons. So I want to look now at earning. They earn for the right reasons also. I just gave you some ideas at the beginning. They are strategic savers versus negative spending habits. For example, the average person you're working, you're earning, to indulge in what is known as negative spending habits. So because you have negative spending habits, you're not buying, a need, you're buying it because you have the money to buy it. You know, when you're on that journey to build wealth, very often you have to see things that you want and sometimes avoid it. It's a habit that many successful people would have used to reach a plateau, a degree of success, and then they shift over. And wealthy people know this all too well. Becoming wealthy is not necessarily how much money you earn, but it's how much money you're able to keep, how much money you're able to save, and how much money you're able to invest. You need to learn, apply, and master these habits. All right. Wealthy people, they save monies for the right reasons. Now, the average person, you are saving money because you have a cycle of emergency. So you only save money because you anticipate an emergency. And you're always in that state of anticipation of emergency situations. And that's a habit you need to find a way to push it aside. All right. Wealthy people, they save for the right reason. The right reason is what we call strategic investment. The primary reason why they're saving is for strategic investment. And let me tell you why. The average person believes that you can save your way to wealth. That's a bunch of baloney. Perhaps only the wealthy people can do it because they are able to put $100 million in the account and just leave it there, and they're going to have interest and compounded interest. All right. 0.1% on $100 million in the bank account annually is a decent savings that you're going to get, but the average person is not going to be able to get that. You have inflation that is taking place at a rapid pace. So your savings in an account is depreciating. And the wealthy know this. So they save for different reasons. And you need to know it and you need to apply it to your life. They had this save for strategic investment. The last point that I'm going to make here is that to help you to understand is that wealthy people, they invest for the right reasons. All right. They're not investing because, I want to have some residual income, because I want to party, I want to swing, I want to, you know, and, live the luxurious life. It's not that they're not going to live that, but there are smarter ways in which you can go about doing that. They invest to accumulate massive wealth. They invest to build generational wealth. And these are habits that high reward habits that you need to have, you need to apply, you need to master. All right. So I'm just going to leave you with some of those nuggets, and I will expand on them as we go deeper into today's program. So I really trust that you're enjoying high reward habits. It can pay you tremendous dividends. And what I want to say also is that if you want to learn more about this, I want to encourage you to get some of my books. We have written the book Cash Flow is King. We have written many books. And if you go to the bestsellerportal.org, you will be able to get some of those books to learn what we are talking about here today. And they're books. The reason we are committing to do these programs for you is because we want you to win in business and in life. And that's why we're committing time after time to, bring these content to you to enable you to win. Peter, go to you.
Yeah, definitely, Gary, because what we do understand where our human psyche is concerned and taken into what you mentioned about the habits of wealthy individuals, and what we try to get individuals in our world to understand that there are certain commonalities that are exposed. Every human being are exposed to those. The difference between a wealthy person and a person who is not wealthy is how they use their resources. And the first resource that we do have is ourselves. Before there is a business, before there is an invention, before there is any of the components that we put out into the marketplace, there is the self. And the self is one of the greatest assets. It's the greatest asset that we have, because it is out of who we are that comes everything that we have. And when we learn how to manage self, understand the various components of what the self is, and we can utilize the various components of the self as a tool that is going to create solutions and design a strategic, a plan, design a plan around what we have, what do we have. And so, when individuals begin to understand that, and taking into consideration that every individual, there is a sense of mission and purpose concerning their lives, because what is wealth in any case, and what is riches in any case, it is when we apply ourselves in our world, and we create it's a feedback, and we create exchange. The more that we apply ourselves, the more we apply the mission of our lives into the marketplace, that is the result that comes back to us. So the habits that individuals need to practice is, how do I look at myself as a solution constantly? And that is what wealthy people, as you mentioned, Gary, they constantly look at the market to see what the market needs. So, we try individuals you have to constantly look at yourself. The practice of presenting the various components of yourself as a solution. And in the healthy habit that we get individuals to is to one, meditation is a powerful thing. Meditation, take time out to meditate, to see the world for what it is, and to see the individual, their place in the world. And out of that, vast solutions, vast contributions are made.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. What I'm taking away from what you're saying is that I noticed you place a lot of emphasis on managing self and mastering self, and I know you're referring to the personal life master plan. And what I'm taking away there too also, Peter, is that you're saying that if you're developing a master plan for your personal life, you too should understand financial intelligence, because that's going to help you to refine who you are. That's going to contribute to your mental health. I was only recently listening to some scholars, and what they were saying is that traditionally when we talk about mental health, is us an inward analysis that is being done. But what was expressed is that a lot of external factors influences your mental health. And one of those factors is money, it's capital. Because when you don't have money to pay the rent, you're stressed out. It affects your mental health. When you don't have money to pay the bill, it affects your mental health. So I love that point, Peter, in focusing on mastering yourself. It's about looking at all of these different things that is essential to make you whole. So your personal life will reflect that. Thanks for that share. Frank, all to you.
Thank you. From a leadership standpoint, I find that successful leaders are usually well aware that every dollar they spend ought to have a clear value and purpose, as well as a good return on investment. While each small business comes with its own specific set of strengths and weaknesses, there are a number of tried and true strategies that successful business leaders should adopt across a broad range of industries and business models. One of the first thing that I can say is that as a business leader, managing finance, you first need to invest in your personnel. I'm saying that because, from my experience, that the cost of replacing an employee is often substantial. While some levels of turnover is unavoidable, you can keep these related costs low by making sure your personnel, your staff, your team love their jobs, love what they're doing. And so if you're investing in building a winning office culture, business culture, as well as offering a strong benefit package, continuing education and other work focused perks will go a long way toward keeping your team happy. Another thing is to diversify revenue streams. So, as a leader, you need to explore new opportunities rather than resting on your laurels. There's no telling when market conditions will shift. You'll be better positioned to survive a downturn if you can book sales from multiple product lines. To diversify your existing business is to future proof the business against life's unpredictable ups and downs. Diversification also gives the opportunity for growth. When you add new products or service to your portfolio, it will allow you to serve more people across different target demographics. And this can help you build your company into a more well-rounded and profitable enterprise. And there are many ways to diversify. You can begin by making predictions about the next few years. You can consider asking customers for suggestions and for their current opinions about the company. How can you sell a new service alongside one of your products? Can you sell a product related to something you already offer? So you branch out and find ways to use the talents you already possess to create new income. Master the use of credit. A lot of persons believe that you should not get yourself into debt. But credit is a versatile tool that can expand your reach and your ability to deliver what the market wants. However, it's easy to overextend yourself and become spun by the crushing interest payments if you don't utilize credit wisely. Business credit cards come with some dangers that personal cards don't. I see the cash flow and reward that business credit cards can provide may be a huge help to a fledgling business, but it's important to weigh your options. High interest rates can quickly make credit card usage more costly than other sources of funds. And if you build up too much debt on a business card, you may be damaging your ability to take out future loans for your business growth in general. Avoid charging more purchases on a business card that you can pay off in a single billing cycle just to minimize the risk of getting behind. So you manage your personal and business card by paying off high interest debt first so that it doesn't pile up. And if being approved for credit is an issue, don't forget you can obtain copies of credit reports from any credit in credit institution in your area. The fourth thing I want to say is that you need to harness the power of social media. We have a lot of TikTokers and influencers out there that are doing all kind of things and making money. The power of social media is so strong in this 21st century that it's easy for one to do the marketing. Marketing is essential in getting the word out about your products and services. But when you look at the traditional broadcast advertising, that can be quite expensive. If you're using social media, it becomes a low cost way of communicating with potential consumers about advantages of partnering with your organization. It can also be instrumental in establishing a unique brand voice. Any entrepreneur who has yet to dive into social media any entrepreneur no time getting started. Today, 63% of millennials say they stay updated on brands through social networks, and 46% rely on social media when making online purchasing decisions. Now, if you're going to stay competitive,
Frank, I'm getting a lot of noise on your background, and it's cutting out some of what you're saying.
it's better now. Let me go that way. I was saying that any entrepreneur who has yet to dive into social media should waste no time getting started. We have about 63% of millennials, 80% of Gen Z. Gen Z is the latest of the generations. Let's see, stay updated on brands through social media, through social networks. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing it.
And 40% rely on social media when making online purchasing decisions. If you're going to stay competitive, there's no getting around going social. In this age of social media, people aren't afraid to voice or share their opinions. And you have to use this to your advantage and pay attention to what customers are saying about you and your business on social networks. So you have a range of options on different channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, which gives you the ability to support and reach out to people in a more personal and meaningful way. Enlist qualified helpers. You see, if you try to do everything yourself, it can be a recipe for failure. You leave the jobs outside your level of expertise to people who are more qualified to handle them. Professional help is not place a skimp in order to save money. You'll spend more money in the long run fixing expensive errors or running into compliance hurdles that professionals could have avoided. You need to hire bookkeepers, hire project managers, those virtual assistants, the HR service, and anyone else you think you could keep on the road to success by helping you focus on managing your core business function. You need to organize your personal finances. Most business owners lack pensions or retirement plan, which is why it's up to you to be disciplined and store away enough money for later. As your business continues to grow, you need to be able to look back and track every penny you spend. And so turning a critical eye toward your monthly expenses will help you determine where your money is. Once you start making money, it can be tempting to pay yourself first and give yourself more room for small indulgences. I remember working in a business organization as a giant supermarket, and I was doing the accounting aspect of it, which was a P3 accounting in those days. And what I found is that the owner was paying himself from the business, through the business, paying his aunt's bill, paying his children's school fee, which I should not have seen. As a business person, if you want to do all these payments, you set yourself whatever salary you give them. Your workers don't need to know what you're doing with your personal life and your personal spending. I should not know how much time you went to a hotel, how much time you went partying. No. That should be from your personal thing, not from the business one. So you need to create a daily budget.
Yeah. We're going to come back to it just now. You're correct, but we're going to come back to it. You've made a number of points, and I've taken note of some of them. You spoke about customer feedback. I think it's an important point. You have mentioned staff motivation. It's an important point. And this is a mini crash course on corporate management. We will expand on it over a period of time. Well, I'll come back to you shortly. In the interest of time, because I got to run out shortly also, I just want to see how much grounds we can also cover. Um, I want to point out again, today we look at high reward habits. So at the end of the day, we want the public to take away essential habits that they should know, they should apply, they should master in order to better their lives. And of course, Frank, look at some of those habits that you should have and some of the habits that you should not have. And some of the habits that I want to emphasize that you should invest in is you should invest in learning more about capital markets. The wealthiest people in the world, they have an abundance of knowledge about capital markets. And what we have seen is that the majority of the people in the world, you don't understand this. And this is what makes it difficult for you to do what they do. Along with understanding capital markets, the wealthy people, they understand how to access capital markets. And when we talk of capital markets, it's very broad. You also need to build the habits around knowing how to access capital markets. And I think Frank alluded to some of this early on. Along with this, you need wealthy people understand how to leverage money. The majority of people, you do not understand how to leverage money. And that's another reasons why you're going to only be in the expecting to be like the wealthy people when you yourself have the ability to do this. Other habits that you need to learn is the habits of capital mitigation. Wealthy people know how to mitigate that. In conclusion, what I want to say here also is that people are afraid of debt, and Frank did hint on this early on. But I do believe that many people who are afraid of debt, they they themselves don't understand the reason why they are afraid of debt. Someone would have said to them, stay away from debt because debt is bad, but they are not making critical and analytical thinking as to why they should really be afraid of debt. People should be afraid of debt because of all the reasons I have mentioned above. One, you don't understand capital markets. Two, you don't understand how to access capital. Three, you don't understand capital leverage. And four, you don't understand debt mitigation. But guess what? Wealthy people understand all of this, and that's why they're swimming in debt. All right. And they're doing things that you cannot do because what you're afraid of, they embrace and they love. So these are essential habits that you want to learn, apply, and master in order to make your life a tremendous example, a tremendous success. So thanks for listening. I want to come right back to Frank, sorry, to Peter. And then Frank, I can come back to you so you could expand on what you were saying. Peter. You're mute, Peter.
Right. So just going back a while ago, we mentioned one of the habits that individuals, and there are basically three things that we could share with them today. We mentioned meditation and taking care of the mind, because the mind is one of those components. If you're going to do anything at all, going out to contribute to the community, one of the habits that is necessary is for individuals to take, and is individuals to take time to meditate. We do encourage individuals that it's a daily routine. And if you should even look at individuals who are who are at the top of their game in making great contribution to the society, one of their practice, and I've read so many, in the courses of individuals who have their biographies, what you find that many of them take time out to do meditation. and out of that they can visualize the world that they are creating, the world that they are developing, and more to the understanding of the world that we're living in. What we do find is that the education systems that contribute to the vast population of non-producers, a lot of the information comes through education. So we do encourage individuals to take into consideration education, but not the kind of education that we are accustomed to. Individuals have to narrow down their education to be purpose driven. So we talk about the purpose driven education. You go to school and they teach you a set of industrialized information that was designed to get people into the industrialized world when education was being designed. But today, information is so much abundant. An individual can become more specific in educating themselves according to the design and the purpose of who they are. And then a third thing that individuals can do is to detoxification, right? So it's important for us to understand that as we're going through life on a daily basis, everything we touch, everything we do, it's going to affect the mind. It's going to affect the soul. It's going to affect who we are for that moment. So, and then a lot of things that is coming inside of us, it's not good for us. And it is going to determine our attitude. It's going to determine our reflection. It's going to determine our personality. So we can't take what we ought not to take today, the person who we are today, into the person that we are tomorrow. So a lot of things we need to detox, just as how the body needs detoxification to get out the impurities. The mind also need to be detoxed, and meditation is how, largely how detoxification can take in place. So when we, look at meditation, education, and detoxification, those are healthy habits that individuals can form as they, really impact their community.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. Meditation, education, and detoxification. What I took away from the meditation aspect of it is time to slow the mind down. Mm-hmm. Because, yes, I do believe sometimes the mind is overworked. And when the mind is overworked, it slows down effective judgment, and sometimes it affects the prefrontal cortex. But we can go deep into that as time progresses. So building habits around meditation, you are saying, is a high reward habit and for us to embark on. Thanks for that share. Frank, back to you, my friend. You're mute.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to continue this part of
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
For the organized personal finances. And I learned the fact that most business owners lack pension or retirement plan. And this is important for the leader to be disciplined and store enough money for later. As a company grows or continues to grow, you'll need to be able to look back and track every penny you spend. You turn a critical eye toward your monthly expenses will help you determine whether your money is to good use and where it's being wasted. And once you start making money, it can be tempted to pay yourself first and give yourself more room for small indulgences. So a daily budget might seem a bit rigorous initially, but it will shed a clear light on all your personal finances and keep you on the straight and narrow with your spending. Put the money you save aside and feel confident as you watch it grow over the years. A lot of people don't realize this, but giving back to your community through non-profit donations or volunteer service It's more than just a duty as a responsible citizen. It can have a positive impact on your personal mood and happiness, which will translate into more effective work performance. If money is a bit tight at present, you can volunteer your time in any number of worthy causes. Consider making charity work a team building activity by taking a day or half day of work for a company by a day of giving back. Companies are now getting on for this, and this is what they're doing. You see, money is the engine that drives the progress of your enterprise. As soon as you decide to start a business, that's the time to develop money habits that will eliminate waste and increase efficiency. You'll then find it easier to grow your income. You find it easier to expand into new areas and enhance your own personal satisfaction. Now, we are into a new year. It's here, and it's a perfect time to focus on creating good financial habits. When you work toward breaking bad money habits, your efforts could pay you back many times over, and you may feel better about your financial future. So, what is a financial habit? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau defines habit norms as values, standards, routine practices, and rules that people rely on to navigate their day-to-day financial lives. When you have a good financial habit or habits, it may support, um, let's say, the ability to effectively manage money and respond quickly to financial decisions or channels or challenges. Sorry. So I would say know where you spend your money each month and compare it to your income. Set a monthly budget. Pay your bills on time. Make it a habit to pay more than minimum amount on your debt whenever possible. Set up direct deposit with your paycheck so that set amount goes directly into your savings. So once you understand your financial future, you set up a budget and track expenses. Build an emergency fund, and and the emergency funds are basically for unexpected expenses, which can knock your finances off track. So you may end up using a credit card or cutting back on long terms for the card. And so to avoid this, um, experts suggest that you set aside 3 to 6 months of living expenses in that emergency fund. But no matter the amount, it is important to include an emergency fund in your budget, and you try to add it each month. So by doing so, you position yourself well if a surprise expense pops up. You put your savings on autopilot. It's a smart thing to have goals like saving for retirement, saving for a vacation, or a down payment on home. But day-to-day living may block you from reaching those goals. So an effective way to make steady savings a habit is to put that money out of sight. You pay down on your debts, pay bills on time or early, review your insurance coverage each year, live on less than you earn, live on less than you earn. I know this habit might be tougher than it sounds. It may not be easy to live on less than you earn, but if you build an economic mindset early, you may enjoy greater financial security over time. Finally,
Okay.
save early for retirement. Save early. And the sooner you commit to saving for retirement, the better.
Okay. Well, you said a lot, Frank. I took away a number of points. You talk about the 6 months cash reserve for emergency. And while I think that has been a traditional recommendation over many years, with what we see happen with the pandemic, perhaps we have to now start thinking about expanding that And perhaps alongside that, we need to start thinking about cash flow and assets. I'll talk briefly about it just now. But you have also spoke about retirement plans, and you pointed out that many businesses don't have the right habits around that. And I think you're correct. I think you're correct for the simple reason from research we are seeing that looking at retirement plans, sometimes the mindset is that it's a added cost to the company. It takes away from the bottom line. And where I'm going with this is that perhaps part of the organization chart for businesses, they should have what we call private equity investors and wealth managers on that organization chart, because I'm absolutely certain that that's the space that I'm in, that will be looked at differently. And so instead of just looking at taking from the bottom line, it can be viewed as another stream of boosting the business cash flow, especially when you look at it through the lens as a private equity investor and a wealth manager. I will not go deep into that today, but we can definitely segmentalize some of what is being said and expand on it over a period of time. What I want to add, however, a lot of what you're saying, a lot of the challenges exist with what you're saying, largely based on the fact that there's not the right habits around understanding capital markets, not enough habits around knowing how to access smart capital markets, how to leverage, and how to mitigate. But it's a very deep subject matter. And of course, today we are just dropping some nuggets to at least help you to understand essential high reward habits. I want to quickly go through 4 high reward habits that you should have, and then I'm going to go around the room for some closing remarks. Wealthy people, they build wealth from multiple paths. And for example, they save to accumulate capital, and then they leverage capital into income producing asset. Now, what is income producing asset? Income producing asset comes in many forms. And even you, the individual, while you're going to have your emergency savings, you too need to start thinking about income producing assets. Because that, if you have the right income producing asset portfolio, is going to give you the cushion in terms of any crisis, any emergency. It's going to pay you when you sleep, once you understand the right producing asset. So you can save your way to this. What wealthy people also do, they buy debt and they leverage debt into income producing assets. And I think understanding debt is to understand it from the 4 standpoint that I talked about early on. You want to know, debt instruments, how to access, how to leverage, and how to mitigate. So instead of being afraid, take the time to understand what the wealthy know, adopt their habits and apply their habits. They leverage debt into income producing asset. Let's turn their leverage equity into income producing asset. And now, what is equity? Equity is something that you accumulate when you have assets. And what they do is take out the excess liquidity in the asset. It may be called, they may take it out in what is known as a HELOC, or they may take it out in what is known as a BLOC. In any case, you're taking out money from asset that you have, and you're leveraging that into other forms of smart investment portfolios. So wealthy people do all of this. And the reason we are doing these programs is to ensure that we can provide you with a rich content of information that can position you for greatness. The last point that I'm going to make here is wealthy people, they also leverage what is known as group economics. Even wealthy people know what is group economics. When you see you have a merger, you're seeing group economics. Big businesses come together because they want to up level their economy of scale. They want to up level their competitive advantage. They want to up level their streams of income and ways of having some degree of monopoly on the market. Group economics, rising star. You may not have disposable income to individually to go put into income producing asset, but you can leverage group economics. 10 coming together, 20 coming together, pooling your resources. These are habits that the wealthy have learned, applied, and mastered, and you need to build these high reward habits for yourself too. So I'm going to leave it there for today. And over the next few weeks, I want us to focus on single topics and expand on them. So our audience has a much better, clearer idea as to how to apply these contexts, because I do believe that we give so much of information. Sometimes we don't know which one they can practice and they can build some mental muscles around and then perhaps start to apply them. And what I want to say too is that we at Global Capital Inc., bestseller portal, and the community, we provide services in the areas in which we are talking about. So I want to encourage you to reach out to us, and we will be happy to talk with you about the subjects that we are looking at today. All right. And I also want to quickly mention the BFC, and we are currently looking for 100 persons to join our community as business finance consultants. So if you're in the US, anywhere in the US, 50 states, and you want to learn more about what it takes to become a BFC, I want to encourage you to reach out to us. We're going to train you to understand money, how money works. We're going to train you to get out there and connect with people that need money. You're going to understand how the sales communication process works. But guess what else? You're going to be well placed and well positioned to make massive amount of monies for yourself. All right. That's the whole objective. We're going to position you for financial greatness. So with that being said, I want to now turn to Peter for your closing remarks, and then over to Frank as we wrap up today's program. Peter?
Right. Yeah. So what I would love to pass on to our audience today is to understand the power of you. What is the power of you and the you that you see in the mirror, and to define you, to break down, as we started out with the 9 components of the human person, who you are. You are a very dynamic being. Just to consider what your mind is, and understanding what your mind is and the 6 components of your minds, there are wealth. And so what we want to, one habit we want you to develop, to walk away with, is the habit of focus. And if you focus on you, and as we say now, defining that there is so much within your memory, so much in your memory, from the day you were born until now, your memory, there is so much stored in your memory that can be used to generate wealth. There's so much in your emotions. If you can use your emotion is a wealth. If you can allow people, when they come around you, to feel a certain way, and if you practice of discovering how to make people feel, focus on that. How can you make people feel when they come around you? How can you use your emotion to affect other people's emotion, so that there becomes a pull factor about you, where when people come into your presence, they don't want to leave. When you can look at your thoughts, focus on your thoughts, because a lot of people think that they think, but thinking is it's to treat the mind like a muscle. And what we do find is that a lot of people, they don't think. What they do, they regurgitate that is already out there. They get it on social media, they pick it up here and there, they regurgitate that, and they think that they're thinking. But thinking is hard work. But when you focus on your thoughts, your own independent thoughts, you'll be surprised with what you come up with. And when you can look at your power to choose, your will, that's what human is. That's what a human being, that calls a human to be the highest classification of mammals. We have the power to say no, to choose. We can say no, and we need to say no to a lot of things. And when we learn how to choose, and choosing is what create focus, because you got to choose to not to look at certain things to see what you ought to be looking at. And then there's the intellect. The mind, they say, is a powerful thing. You know, everything that you conceive, it's the intellect, and that's where intelligence come from. And we're living in a world where, so much, when you look at, the entertainment industry. The other day I was with my family and we just wanted to pick a movie, and we couldn't find something to look at. There, the choices, everything is just degrading. But what we're saying, you got to protect your intellect, and out of your intellect, when you know how to think, your intellect will produce. And then lastly, the most powerful thing that you have, another powerful thing is your imagination, because that you can use your imagination to create a dynamic future for yourself. So with that, I trust that habits, build your habits around those, and habit of focus on the power of you.
All right, thanks for the share, Peter. Sounds as though you leave the best for last. I'm not saying that the things you said earlier wasn't the best, but you certainly left some gems here that I'm truly floored by. Habits of focusing on you, because you are the greatest asset the world has ever known and will ever know, regardless of the fact that they're not trying to plant the chip in your brains to optimize your intellect. You can't compete with us once we decide to, once we are given an opportunity to self actualize. So I love that focus on you. I love focus on making impact with other people. So people want to be around you. I think that was another great concept. You talk about the power of choice. Really love it. You also spoke about intellect, and the last one is imagination. Just be that child again. Be that child again. So I think those were a lot of gems, and I really trust that the listening public and took those away and can do your own deep dive into that. If you want to further deep dive into that, I encourage you to reach out to us. I'll put you in contact with Peter so he can really help you to develop these focus habits that can give you the high rewards that you need in life. Frank, all to you.
All right, thank you. Um, Financial habits is not just having the habit, but maintaining good money habits. If you can do that, it can be the difference between achieving your financial goals and falling short. You find that a lot of people do not feel financially secure. Some of the top personal finance issues getting in the way of a person's financial security, including not having enough emergency savings. They have low retirement funds and hide them. But I say if you practice good money habits, it can help to overcome those financial hiccups by establishing regular saving contributions. You must be mindful in your spending and overall financial awareness. And I will stress on the habits. If you write down your financial goals, a habit that you'll have is having financial direction and focus. If you start saving early and consistently, the habit you will have is regular savings. If you sign up for a budget app, there's a lot of apps on our phones these days, and there are budget apps. It will help you develop the habit of mindful spending. You see, a budget is the first and foremost tool in a financial toolkit. So managing finances without a budget is much like walking around with a blindfold. And if you haven't made a budget or struggle to keep up with it, then download a budget app, which is a great way to just simplify the process and integrate it into your day-to-day life. Minimize high interest debt. So you must have the habit of responsible borrowing. Debt is not inherently bad. It can be a tool to achieve your goals, certain goals like funding and education. But mismanaging debt can lead to serious long-term financial burdens. So you have to make sure you understand the terms of all your loans and credit cards and prioritize paying out those that have the highest interest rates. Check your daily accounts. We have online banking. Awareness of your financial situation is a habit to have. Just like your physical health, your financial health needs regular checkups. In fact, deliberately checking your bank accounts each day from your mobile banking app or online banking, you can ensure that you spot potential issues early and take action before a problem escalates. You need to implement the 24-hour rule or have the habit of avoiding impulsive spending. And you see, this kind of spending is a tendency to make non-essential purchases for immediate gratification will often lead to regrets later on. And that's a bad money habit. It can wreak havoc on your budget and hinder your financial goals. So that 24-hour rule is a simple strategy to help combat impulsive purchases. Learn about money from experts. What we're saying here is have a financial education, develop financial literacy, which is the knowledge and application of financial skills. And this drives individuals to make informed decisions about their money. The bottom line is if you incorporate these strategies into your financial routine, you can establish a strong foundation for financial success. Remember, building good habits is a continuous process. While it may not come naturally right away, it's important to celebrate small achievements along the way as you work toward a healthier financial future. They're new theory.
Yeah, thanks for that share, Frank. You have said a lot, and I truly trust that the listening audience would have taken away a lot from what you would have said. In conclusion, as we focus on habits, high reward habits, there's three things that I want you to hold in mind. One is knowledge, leverage, and mitigation. I begin this program by saying that you need more knowledge of capital markets, but knowledge is not enough. All right, knowledge is not enough. You may spend the time understanding and listening to all that we are saying here, but at some point of your life, for you to reap the benefit of knowledge, you have to be able to apply. Some of the things that we have seen, Frank, is that people are overflowing with knowledge, but they do not have necessarily the information, the tools, support system to apply effectively. Because wealthy people habits, millionaire habits, they apply, but they are not applying with a blindfold over their eyes. They're applying based on the right information. Like, for example, if you want to build wealth, how do you take savings, accumulated capital, and put it into smart investment portfolios? Do you go to REIT, real estate investment trust? What are the risks associated with this and how to mitigate those risks? You need to know this. Do you invest in ETF, exchange trade funds? What are the risks associated with this and what are the ways to mitigate it? So you have a range of this Vanguard index funds. Do you know enough about it to be able to leverage capital into these portfolios to ensure that you're making a smart investment decision? Do you understand how to take out a merchant bank account that might restrict you in some parts of the world into portfolios to invest in? But because you have a merchant bank account, you're now able to leverage your merchant account to make investment across the world. So it's about having the right knowledge. It's about being able to leverage in the right way, and it's being able to mitigate because realities in the markets are changing. Some of these things you may be able to navigate and mitigate around them, some you may not have control. Again, you want to ensure that you have enough knowledge, you will leverage it in the right way, so you have super control over how you mitigate your financial journey. Again, this is just to whet your appetite in terms of habits of the wealthy. And we have a community that can really help you to do that deep dive, understand these concepts, apply these concepts to attain desired results in your life. So I want to thank my team of panelists who have spent the last hour and change with me today and for sharing their knowledge and their experience with you. I want to thank also the listening public for being a part of this program today. And do remember to share, like the podcast, share it into your community so you can help us reach more persons. With that being said, I want to bid you all a tremendous, enjoyable Tuesday and even a greater week ahead of you. And to my team, have a great day and see you guys tomorrow.